But we often let our thoughts rule our world. Be wary of this, people. When your thoughts seem to be taking you down a path of negativity, or the thoughts are focusing on the uncertainty in life, do something about it. No, really, I literally mean do something. Take action. Action begets more action, people. Action changes our moods and thoughts and has the propensity to propel us in the direction of that action. And the right action at the right time is precisely what can make our future a better place to be, and our future selves a better version of who we can become. My name is Michael Shikatano, and this is Right Here, Right Now, a podcast to inspire the learner inside each of us. In a world that is full of so much information, we will help find and package that information so that you can use it in your lives every day in practical ways. And in each episode, we will remind you of the importance of being present and mindful of your daily thoughts, actions, and interactions. It is truly the most vital step to learning and growth, being mindful and present right here, right now, to take on life's challenges and turn them into life's lessons. So come on this venture with us, a new beginning, a new journey that starts right here, right now. Welcome back, people. I am Michael Shikatano, your host of Right Here, Right Now, the podcast that is bringing you a series of episodes on this fascinating concept of Arete, which, as we will discuss and learn, is the concept of realizing and living up to and pushing yourself and creating the environment to be the very best version of you at your highest potential from moment to moment. The podcast that provides the tools and helps to cultivate the mindset for each of us to be the very best rendering of ourselves for all of the roles that we need to be in each and every one of our moments in life. The podcast that offers ancient wisdom in practical terms and modern scientific methods to unleash our potential and what we are capable of doing from moment to moment. And today, people, we will discover how this striving and reaching for a higher potential in each of our moments has some relationship to the context, the situation, and most importantly, to the person you are interacting with, connecting with in each of your moments in life. As we know, the relationships that we hold with others helps to define and perhaps even shape who we can be, who we are becoming. I certainly do not mean that we are at the mercy of those around us, not at all, my stoic-minded and independent and thoughtful and curious friends and followers of the show. But we do know that we live in a world of relationships and connections, and doing the things that makes us better is sometimes about who we need to be for others, who we want to be and want to become in an important relationship, and who we can be in some of the roles we take on in life. And what I think is interesting to note here is that sometimes we put unnecessary expectations on ourselves or feel that there are ridiculous expectations placed on ourselves from the outside world. And sometimes, maybe right here, right now is a good time, we may need to be able to reframe those expectations and realize that achieving or striving for our highest potential is always about you. It is about your capacity and the spirit in which you act and think and perform in each of your moments. With consideration of others, of course, but not a reliance on others. And so much of the ways that we can reach this potential are heavily related to the actions that we take. Perhaps even the words we use, the frame of mind and the mindset that is created with our words as well as our thoughts. But most profoundly, it is our actions that help to shape who we can be in achieving or activating our highest potential. I think of the wonderful adage about how we can sometimes act our way into a new way of thinking. But it's often more difficult for us, if you think about it, for us to think our way into a new way of acting. I'll just repeat that real quick. I think it's easier to act our way into a new way of thinking more than it is to think our way into a new way of acting. And basically, what this means to me every time I hear this is that our actions are more powerful than our thoughts when it comes to our future, the path that we'll be heading down 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 months from now, right? What we can be doing is often directly impacted by what we are doing right here, right now. But we often let our thoughts rule our world. Be wary of this, people. When your thoughts seem to be taking you down a path of negativity, or the thoughts are focusing on the uncertainty in life, do something about it. No, really, I literally mean do something. Take action. Action begets more action, people. Action changes our moods and thoughts and has the propensity to propel us in the direction of that action. And the right action at the right time is precisely what can make our future a better place to be, and our future selves a better version of who we can become. I want you all to start to think about how we might be able to reframe some of the thoughts that we have in reference to the actions that we take. More precisely and impactful, even, is that I think we should all begin to reframe some of our actions and how we can realize the impact that our behavior can have on our thoughts. We have often stated on this show that being present and being mindful of our thoughts and actions is critical for well-being and to live a life of learning and growth. But today, I'd like to help with a slightly different thought here. Stay with me. We are not abandoning the power of our present selves and the mastery that our mindful mindset serves for our mental state. In the book Arete, Brian Johnson describes something that he found in the research conducted by Walter Mischel. He's the gentleman that conducted the famous marshmallow studies with young children regarding their willpower. And he found that our brains light up in particular areas when we think of ourselves. And our brains light up in other areas when we think of strangers, people that we do not know or are not familiar with. Where am I going with this? Well, his research, it's fascinating, demonstrated that for some of us, the same part of our brain, the self part, lights up when we think of our future selves. And for others, the part of the brain that lights up when we think of strangers lights up when we think of our future selves. And more simply put, some of our brains are wired to use the part of our brains that think of ourselves when we think of our future selves, right? Your present self may, in terms of this, have a better connection with your future self. Other brains are wired such that when you think of your future self, the stranger part of the brain is lighting up. And maybe it means less of a connection between present you and future you. What exactly does this mean? Well, the researchers found that those whose future selves looks more like a stranger, according to their own brain activity, had lower willpower and were more likely to be impulsive and engage in unhealthy behaviors. So, what does that have to do with our potential? Where does this fit in with the action that we must take to reach our highest potential in various domains in our lives? Well, we must consider our future self and the actions that we decide to take right here, right now. We must forge a better connection, or at least be mindful of that connection between our present self and our future self. It does make sense here, people, right? We obviously know that the actions we take with our present selves will impact our future selves. But the question is, how often do we think of our future selves in relation to what it is that we owe that future person, that future version of you, in the thoughts we have and the actions we take in the here and now? And what do we owe the people who will be in the life of your future self? Today, right here, right now, people, We must be mindful of our thoughts and actions in a way that brings us closer and more connected to the future you. You deserve it. Your future you deserves it. And Brian Johnson, this wonderfully energetic and wise young man, puts it very nicely in his book, Arete, when he discusses that there are many ways to achieve this closer connection to our future selves. And he tells us we must appreciate the fact that the decisions we are making today are laying the groundwork for the version of us who will show up tomorrow and next week and the year after that. He instructs us that we can picture our future self waving back at the present you and begging you to do the things that will make their life, which is, well, your future life, most awesome. For the sake of your future you and in the future roles that you will take on and become for those around you. Will the choice you're making right here be a gift to that future version of yourself or a curse? Will the choices you're making right now help to make the connection between what you're doing now and who you're becoming in the days and months and years and decades into the future? And are you closing the gap between who you are and who you want to become, who you have the potential to become? So the daily choices that seem mundane all of a sudden have a greater impact on us, more meaning, not just in that moment, but for many moments to come. That future self is shaped in the many, many moments from right here, right now, to right then and right there, in that future state of a purely awesome version of you. A future version of you that is at the pinnacle of your potential in that moment because of the choices you made right here, right now. So the decisions or questions that we ask ourselves are reframed perhaps with this new perspective from that future state of your highest potential, such as, should I get to the gym today? Becomes, will the future version of me benefit from putting in the small effort in living more healthy in this very moment? Again, a mindful approach to connecting this very moment with many more moments in your future. And I thought this was powerful stuff here, people. When practiced with a deliberate effort in reaching your highest potential, when practiced with a deliberate connection to your future you, someone that you must begin to think about and care for in the actions and thoughts and more actions from better thoughts that you can manifest right here, right now. And I really think connecting potential with mindfulness here was really profound. And I think that's what this is all about. Another example of how this approach can be seen that maybe pertains to a particular podcast host that you all know so well. Should I pick up this intriguing and insightful book and start reading right here, right now? Becomes, will my future me benefit from the information in the book that may be precisely timed in my life to gain the wisdom and put into practice the things I will learn for me to be a better version of me in the future moments of my life? My goodness, you asked that question. Why wouldn't you pick up the book? All the books. These questions often revolve around our health and well-being. And do you know why? I like to think of it in terms of this. Our future selves rely most heavily on the choices we make today in regards to the impact they will have on our future self's health. Should I eat another donut after having 2 heaping plates of food? Becomes, how will I feel 1 hour from now if I overeat? And what does this mean for the habits that I will create for how I will feel tomorrow or next week or next year? And what becomes very powerful is that these decisions will begin to add up in their impact. In fact, these are habits that we can perform and cultivate that will become exponentially powerful as time goes on, with the compounding effect of each seemingly small decision to be dedicated to a better version of you, of your future self. As one of my favorite proverbs go, little by little, a little becomes a lot, which has been a new favorite mantra of mine lately. Our future selves deserve the mindful approach to a more connected relationship with our present selves. I love the approach. I love this mindset. It makes me think of how I began to reframe my thoughts after reading Peter Attia's masterpiece, Outlive, and his concept of longevity. Makes me think more broadly about who I want to be with my daily habits of health that I find to be most helpful. His concept of the centenarian decathlon, the physical activities that you want to be able to do in your last decade of life. Peter tells us that you better start reaching your highest capacity now, since we're all going to realize a steady decline, if we are lucky, over time in what will be physically possible in the future, years and even decades from now. Choosing the work that we can put in today in each of our moments, in our present and mindful lives, and the impact they will have on our physical and mental health of our future selves is important to be mindful of. And I know that I owe each and every one of you a podcast episode on his amazing book, Outlive. And I am working on this, and it will most certainly turn out to be a series of episodes, as there is so much information that I'm excited to share with each of you. So, back to achieving our highest potential, or the Arete, in our lives. How we can reach the highest potential is an idea that Brian Johnson has studied and written about. In his beautiful book, he shares the many, many ways that we can learn and consider in our daily lives. And I am about halfway through this book, this 1,000 plus page masterpiece. But I needed to begin to share this concept to propel our minds into the why of what it is that he offers us in changing our daily lives, in the work of striving to be the very best version we can be in each of our mindfully present moments. The future self-orientation or context of our present moment decisions and actions, and the future impact on our future selves is a profound shift if we can make this mindset more habitual. Mindfully practice with compassion and self-love here, people, without obsessing over decisions, and being more mindful of the thoughts and actions we take in reference to that precious future you. And of course, the thoughts were persisting after reading the few pages of his chapters regarding potential and how we can think about reaching higher and higher every single day in every single thought and in every single action. Did you ever hear the riddle, or I guess the mathematical problem as it's sometimes framed? If you're 100 feet away from your destination and you moved halfway toward that location with every move toward that destination, when would you get there? Think about that. Get mindful here, especially if you did not hear this before. If you can only go half the distance in each move, would you ever get there? Theoretically, the answer is no. And I was thinking of this in terms of the reverse, in terms of growth and improvement and harnessing all of the tools that we have come to pursue and cultivate on our journey. What would we become? What could we become if we got 10% better, or even just 1% better every day, every week, if we continually did the things we know we have the capacity to make us better? What would our limit be? Would we even have a limit? Would we ever reach that limit? Where that limit is our highest potential here, people. Or would it be that we could just keep raising that bar, keep striving for a higher and higher potential, the next level version of our best and most authentic selves? And I speak of limitless here, people, because I think that each of us has seen examples in our own lives where you did what you did not think you could ever do. You did what you have never done before, perhaps to overcome a challenge that seemed insurmountable or achieve something so beyond your thoughts of what was even plausible, let alone possible. The automaticity of our strength here is remarkable. You don't even know how strong you are, how courageous you are, and can be, because it can be so automatic. When our courage becomes a habit, when our fears are well contained in reference to the reality of our situations, that anything is possible in terms of doing the things that we can control to positively impact the outcome of our next challenge or opportunity, which are, of course, synonymous here, people. Change the reference point by practicing these habits of striving for a better version, the best version of you every day, in every one of your moments. And when practiced and cultivated and made habitual, your strength and courage is something that will come as no surprise to you, to those paying attention, and best of all, to your future self that will benefit most from these habits. This is how we cultivate the courage right here and overcome the fears right now to do what needs to be done today for a brighter and better you and a brighter and better tomorrow. Be present and be mindful and think about connecting to your future self right here, right now. Thank you all for joining us. Please share and rate this episode. I know someone you know needs to hear this. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time, right here, right now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time, right here, right now.